Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Recruiting Insider call for April. And Matt, that's a bad way to start. Like, wait a minute, what month is it? So, anyway, guys, I have been undercover all last week in undercover trucker mode, and just got back into the office, and after another trip, and excited about today's call. And a couple things I want to tell you as we're getting started. First off, we are re-recording last month's call, Purposefully Planning for Intentional Success. I understand that the recording, we were not in the studio. We were live from Louisville, and it didn't record all the way. So Matt and I are going to re-record that today, and so you'll get that. And of course, you'll also get this one. The other thing I'd like to mention to you, and I am reaching out for help. Guys, I'm a big fan of the American Trucking Association and the American Trucking Association Safety Management Council. And there has been a working group at the Safety Management Council for driver recruiting, driver retention, and driver wellness. And can you think of any more important topic than driver recruiting, driver retention, and driver wellness? Well, that has been escalated to the level of a committee now, and I am the chairman of that committee. And folks, if you want more information about, hey, how can I be a member? How can I be a part of that? My hope, my intention is that this committee is truly coming up with results, coming up with solutions, and frankly, benchmarks and best practices for the industry. And, as I look at the list of people that are on this call every month, folks, we could absolutely turn this into the most powerful committee on this subject in the entire country. And so if you're interested about, hey, okay, so how do I join? How do I become a part of that? Shoot me an email. I'll get that to Brian Lagana of the ATA and start seeing if we can't get some more people plugged into the committee, because we certainly I need your help on it, guys. I need your input. So there's that. And by the way, we meet twice a year. Typically, we'll have a planning session, which we just had 2 weeks ago in D.C., and then we have a convention that is happening this year in November. It'll be November 14th through the 16th in Memphis. And by the way, there'll be an entire, at the Safety Management Council conference, there's going to be a safety section to it, and with all the breakouts for over the couple of days. But then we're having the HR section as well. With our breakouts, we'll match the scheduling of the breakouts on the safety side, so attendees can segue from whichever breakouts that they want to attend. And by the way, Matt Lee and I are the lead on working on the agenda for that conference. So if you're on here and also say, hey, listen, I've got this presentation, or I know this person that did a presentation on this, and it would be really, really great to be a part of that conference, I would also like that input. So there's that. A couple of housekeeping things related to that. By the way, next month's call, I'll just say this right now, is May 24th. Originally it was scheduled for the 17th, but we have to move that to May 24th. And I think that's everything we need. Please, if you have questions, feel free to type them in. I've got that screen open so I can see them, and we'll go from there. And of course, I want to thank our supporters of this conference. And matter of fact, I see Kent Ferguson from Higher Right is one of the attendees today. He's usually an attendee every month, and he is again this month. And glad to have Kent on the call and thank HireRight for helping to get this information out to their clients and growing this this registrant. We are almost to 1,000 registrants now each month on this phone call. That's 1,000 unique registration people. We're pushing 5,000 to 6,000 people when you add in all the different people that are listening in and such. And I don't even know how many people listen to it later. It's pretty incredible, and I do not take that lightly. Ken Hammerschmidt, want to say hello to you, sir. A little shout out to you. If you've ever been somewhere and ordered a Hammerschmidt, then you know, and they know what it is. It's because Ken taught them. It's his signature beverage of choice. Just saying. All right. Hey, Matt, get me out of this hole. How you doing, sir?
I am doing well, Kelly. I am doing well. It's a beautiful spring day. Hope everybody's enjoying their week.
Absolutely. And so, man, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know what you sent me in this slide deck, but something's smelling a little fishy here. What's going on?
Well, I tell you, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects today, and that's fishing. You know, it's springtime, so it's time to dust off those old rods and reels and get out some lures, and it's time to do a little fishing. But I guess we're going to have to keep it toward recruiting. So today we're actually going to talk about ways, a couple of different outside-the-box ways to fish for drivers using Google. And these are outside the box. This is not your typical, you know, thinking of a pay-per-click type of a model. These are other ways that you can use Google to find qualified, good drivers. And so the first way we're going to talk about today is a customer match campaign. And basically this campaign works. We're going to use the fish that you already know about, our drivers, and we're going to find a lot more like them. And so how do we do that? So the very first thing that we have to do is we have to start our campaign by figuring out and loading up all of our existing leads that we have with Gmail addresses. And we are talking about Google here, so they have to have Gmail accounts. But you can go through your ATS. You can mine that. You can look at your leads, your past leads. You could look at referrals. There's all sorts of different databases that you have available that you can reach back out to these particular candidates. And so what you're doing is you're going to go through there and find the ones that have the Gmail addresses. So once you have identified those folks, then what we do is then you would load that up into Google. And there's a variety of tutorials out there that are available to show you exactly how to do this, or obviously we're always here to help as well. But once you identify that list, then you basically you send those in to Google, and then Google actually sends them out through email. And so anybody on this call who's using Gmail is familiar with the tabs up at the top. These would come in through your promotions tab. You ever wonder how those get in there? That's exactly how this is happening. So what happens after that then is that person who had received that email has a profile through Google. Google understands where they've been, what they're doing, what their likes, what their interests, who is this particular person, and then so Google then targets other people, drivers, just like them. So then you can actually send out those messages across the entire Google network. So that would be including search terms or display ads, or now even through YouTube. You can reach out to these people. So basically what I'm saying here is that we profile people through Google, and then we're able to match other people who match that profile and send messages to them through these three particular sources. So the second way that we're going to go fishing today is actually through a competitor targeting campaign. This is a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun, I think, fun way to fish. And it's basically what we're going to do is we're going to use your competitors' lures to catch their fish. And so how do we do that? Well, first of all, we have to identify who our competitors are. The more the better. Now, just because you have a trucking company in your backyard does not mean that they're a competitor. You have to identify, if you're a tanker, then let's find tankers. If you're a flatbed company, then let's find flatbed companies who are looking for drivers similar to you. And so that's what I mean by you've got to choose your competitors. Then we're going to be able to target them by keywords. So drivers that are actually looking or searching for that particular company, we can serve up messages to them. If they visit their URLs or their websites, whether that be a landing page or their corporate website or whatever, we can actually serve up ads now through Google for drivers who have gone to their sites. And because they're a competitor of yours and you've set this program up, you're able to remarket to them through the various Google locations. You can also tie it to a geography. So you could say, hey, I want to talk to drivers who are visiting these particular locations or match this criteria or who have visited my competitors in the past based on this geography. So we can get really, really detailed when it comes to finding these folks. So then we have to fund the campaign. You know, in a campaign like this, it's about a $1,500 minimum when it comes to that to be able to target those competitors. So we've got to be able to build the budget in there. And finally, we're going to deliver ads to their prospects and drivers and catch them first through the entire Google network. So those were just a couple of fun ways to go fishing today. And I hope that that you're catching a lot out there. With that, I will turn it over to Kelly.
All right, Matt, I appreciate it. And folks, if you need help with that, you know, Matt tries real hard not to sell, and that is our deal here. Let's educate, not sell. But I don't think it's inappropriate for me to say, if you need help in your driver recruitment advertising, attracting the drivers that you need, give Matt at Ramsey Media Works a call. Matt at RamseyMediaWorks.com. And by the way, if you want to see some great videos, oops, did I go backwards? There it is. RecruitingSessions.com, and you'll get to see Matt's face there, and those things are edutained. They keep you on the edge of your seat, wondering what are they going to do next, because they got some great points in there, and they interweave some humor in it as well. So Matt, thanks for that. It's excellent. So let's get into this. You know, if you were to become, and I hope that this doesn't happen to anybody today, but if you were to become unemployed this morning, I mean, you hang up this call and they're like, your boss calls you in and says, hey, listen, I got bad news. Bad news for you, good news for us, but you don't work here anymore. Just saying, you're gone. Now, by the way, that was a terrible thing to say. But anyway, you all at once, something's happened. Bad news, we're out of business. Bad news, we're reducing. Whatever it is, you realize that your regular stream of income, that regular paycheck that you get, it's in jeopardy. What are you going to start doing? And the answer is, I'm going to start making phone calls. Yeah, I'm going to start looking for a job. I'm going to start calling some people that I know and saying, hey, by the way, just FYI, I'm available. And you know, if you hear anything, let me know. I'm going to update my resume. I'm going to get on with it. And of course, the rhetorical question would be, well, why? And the obvious answer is because I don't know of anybody on this phone call. I mean, I see Scott Romans is on this call. But I think Scott has to work for a living too, you know, just saying. And I have to work for a living too, and so does Matt and Lori Plowman. You know, we're all working for a living. And so the reason we do that is so we can provide for our families. And, you know, I need to be able to feed my family. I need to be able to put a roof over their head. I need to provide reliable transportation, so I'm not worried if they go to drive to Joplin and are they going to make it or not. And so I'm going to start making phone calls, looking for a job right away, and I am going to do that as hard and fast and continuously as I can until I have a reason to stop. And that reason to stop, I mean, with the question here is, when will you stop? And the answer is when you have a reason. Well, that's kind of the basis of my thinking in my recruiting philosophy. And, when you think about it, drivers are the same way. If something happened, if they're not getting the miles they need, if they're not making the revenue they need, if they have to make a change, we just hired a new person here at Impact, and she told us in her interview, I had to make a change because my boss, I got a new boss, and she was wicked, just absolutely not a nice person. And it started and so nasty and mean. She says, I was bringing it home, and my husband and my kids were seeing it, and I wasn't the person that I am. And she said, I had to get away from it. And, no matter whatever the causation is, we all have to feed our families. And so, but we've got things we'd rather be doing rather than talking to recruiters. I mean, we get to the point, or we'd rather be doing rather than looking for a job. I only know one guy, and I won't mention his name. I don't know if he's in the industry anymore. That told me one time, I like looking for a job. Really? Well, see ya. I don't think I want you in my team. And so drivers would rather be eating, sleeping, driving trucks, spending time with their family, or playing sky crane for stuffed animals in the truck stop rather than talking to recruiters. So every time that we talk to a driver, we need to do two things. Number one, we need to give that driver every reason in the world to stop calling other recruiters and go back to doing one of those 5 other things. Because if we don't, they're going to keep calling recruiters, just like you would if you were looking for a job. And most of the time when I talk to recruiters, I'm not given a reason to stop calling. The phone call goes something like, recruiting, and I'm like, yeah, I want to use hiring drivers. Yeah, we sure are. And then there's an awkward pause until I go, well, what can you tell me about it? And they go, well, where do you live? Do you have any tickets? Do you have any accidents? Do you have any criminal? Which, by the way, they probably shouldn't ask, thanks to the whole ban the box situation going nationwide. How much experience do you have? Well, if everything you're telling me is true, then I've got blah, 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 blah. I call that the interrogation, call them a liar, spray and pray technique, and it doesn't work. But here's the deal. I don't act like Mr. Mean, let's see how they overcome objections. And I'm like, man, that sounds great. Ooh, that worked for me. Ooh, that's better than I've got now. Oh, I like that. I'm trying to see if they'll take it to the next step. Most recruiting calls end with well, if you got any more questions, give me a call. Well, yeah, if you're interested, go online and fill out an application, and I'll give you a call back. Folks, in 19 years of doing undercover trucker, and by the way, I mean, I think, you be the judge, that when I apply, I am like, holy cow, where did this guy come from? We need him yesterday. I mean, 19 years with the same company, no tickets, no accidents, no criminal, and no DOT violations. Spotless. 10 years with the company before that and Coast Guard before that. I mean, would anybody on this call like to have a driver like that? I think my chat thing's about to explode. Yeah. You ready? You guys, are you ready for this? I've only been called back twice in 19 years. I said this in a previous call. Most of the time, it's me who has, the only reason I get hired is because I try to get hired. Most of the time when I work with recruiters, the only person getting hired are the people that try to get hired. So one of the things, and we're going to continue to build on this over the next, several sessions, but and I talked about it in a previous session, plan of action. How do we give that driver every reason in the world to stop calling other people? Well, as a result of talking to me, getting to a place where I go, man, John, I got to tell you, based on what I'm seeing here, I don't see any reason we couldn't take this next step. Matter of fact, it sounds like you'd want to start with like on the 17th. If you're right, he says yes. If you're wrong, he says, no, when's your next one? And so then you said, cool, well, okay, we're going to work toward the 23rd. So here's what we need to do. So what did I just do? As a result of talking to me, he he knows we're working toward the 17th. So we have that specific date we're working, or the 23rd. We're working toward that date. And this is what I need to do, John, and this is what you need to do, and this is when I need you to call me back. I was doing recruiter training this weekend, and people ask, why is it that you're having them call me back instead of me call them? And I'm like, well, mainly because you're busy. And how many times, how many phone calls yesterday? Let's just get real about this, guys. How many people did you want to call yesterday that you didn't get called because your phone was ringing off the wall and emails were coming at you? And I'm just going to tell you straight, and you know it's true. There are people that you want to call today that you're not going to get it done. There's going to be people you wanted to call yesterday that you're planning on calling today. You're not going to get it done. So that's why I have them call me. I load my phone not only with the new applicants that are coming toward me, but I'm loading my phone with those people I need to talk to. So the only ones that I need to talk, that I have to call, are those that didn't call me. So that's and it works really well. I'm like, man, John, I tell you what, let's work toward the 23rd. I'm going to send you a link to our application, and you're going to get that filled out. So you'll get that filled out tonight, and call me tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It's not a hard and fast appointment. I'm just writing down 1 o'clock. I'm expecting to hear from him at 1. I may tell 3 or 4 people to call me around 1 o'clock tomorrow. And I may tell another, then I move it to 2 or 1:15 or 1:30, and they'll call you around that time. But the coolest thing is they're calling you and you're not having to try to hunt them. They're calling you when they're available. That is diametrically opposed. Most recruiters say, give me a call, or I'll call you, excuse me. I'm saying tell them instead of time for them to call you. It works. So make that driver yours. The next step is to, and by the way, so you see what I've done. We're talking about a specific orientation date. He can call his spouse and say, hey, honey, I'm not making any more phone calls. Old Kelly and I liked what I heard. I like Kelly. And by the way, that's important. The number one thing that new applicants, when interviewed and asked, hey, what did you know about the company? See, Bullhorn did this survey of 50,000 new employees. And they asked all these new employees, what did you know about the company you chose to go to work for? And the overwhelming number one response was, I felt like I knew and I could trust, and I liked the recruiter. I liked and trusted the recruiter. The truth is, through our conversation, and the answers that you give, I'll know that, I liked what I heard. That all sounded pretty good. But in the end, do I trust you? Because if I don't trust you and I don't like you, I'm not going to go to work for you. So, man, honey, I've talked with Kelly. We're working on the 17th, and this is what I need to get done this day. I got to get this application in because I'm calling him tomorrow. We're working on the 17th. She's like, oh, that's great, man. I've been needing you to start making calls, for the last 3-4 months, and I'm glad you're finally doing it. And because we need more miles. We need more money. That's what we need. So the second step is I want to make that driver mine until such time as I decide I don't want them. There are some, and folks, you get lied to. Just straight up, you have been lied to. I don't know, I don't have no tickets, so then you get the MVR. Shoot, he doesn't have one, he's got like 6. But folks, that guy's a liar. In my opinion, he's a dirtbag. And he wasted your time and he wasted your money. But here's where you lose. You really lose if you carry that baggage into the next phone call. And you start treating everybody like that guy was. And that's exactly what happens. Why do recruiters say, well, if everything you're telling me is true? That's because they've been lied to before. No, it's because they're carrying the baggage of the previous conversation into this conversation. I had a recruiter tell me that once. I said, don't call me a liar. He said, what do you mean? I said, you asked me if I had any tickets, accidents, or criminal record, and I told you I didn't. And you said if everything I'm telling you is true. I said, that's calling me a liar. He said, well, if you understood how many people call in here and say that, and then they do. And I said, well, I don't know who those guys are, but they're not me. He says, you know what? You're true. It's not you. Folks, don't let that dirtbag that lied to you and stole your time and stole your money negatively impact every other call that you make. We need to treat people based on who they are, not who somebody else was. So, you know, you run a report and you find out, oh man, I don't want this guy, and never. Then assign it its appropriate value, file the thing, and go on, and dump the baggage too. Number two, you run the reports and you're working on it, and it's like, oh man, he told me about those 2 accidents, but that one is just in the wrong time frame. You know what? I can hire this guy, but I can do it in 6 months. Well, then diary it to recontact the driver in 6 months. Most recruiters say, oh man, John, I can't hire you now, but give me a call in 6 months, we can do something. Folks, in 6 seconds, 6 minutes after hanging up with you, he's already forgot about you. So you take ownership of it, and because you got them in your system, and nobody comes out of your system until you decide to come out of your system. And so I'm going to make him mine until until such time as I decide I don't want him in my truck. And so I'm going to call that guy in 6 months and follow up with them. I have actually another slide that kind of hits on that. Then, of course, you're working with this guy about getting in your truck at this specific time. They will keep driving, calling recruiters until they have some reason to stop. And folks, they really don't want to call recruiters, so let's give them a reason to stop. People ask me, Kelly, how in the world do you stay so excited after so many phone calls? Well, folks, it's the difference between having one phone call 100 times or one internet lead 100 times, or having 100 unique phone calls. That's the fun thing about recruiting, is each one of these people are unique people. Each situation is totally unique among itself. So it's not like, and that's why you stay excited, is you're talking to a new person with new needs from a new place, and you're going to help them feed a new family. The book Gung Ho talks about worthwhile work. It's a very short read, but folks, when recruiting, it's so easy to get caught in the rut because it's a fire that never goes out. But you want to motivate your folks, get them to understand that what we do is important. And I think I'll do a recruiting call on that one, on the principles of Gung Ho. It's a phenomenal book. So each call is unique. Treat it like it is. Your recruiting application system cannot dictate the flow of the call. The conversation I'm having with this person dictates the flow of the call. And then there's that thing I said just a minute ago. No one comes out of my system until I decide they come out of my system. And so if I can't hire them today, then I'm going to figure out when I can hire them. I'm going to diary it in my system for that name in 6 months to pop back up into my workflow, and me look at that and go, oh yeah, that's right. And I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes I looked at it and went, what was I going to call that guy about? And so then I just make the call because I see the application, I can see my notes, and then go from there. That's making the most out of every lead we have. So with that, folks, I have run out of time on this month's call. I do not take lightly the number of people that are registered. We're almost 1,000 people now, and thank you guys for that. I see a lot of our regulars that are back here this month. You're not at Louisville like you were last month, and I saw some of you at Louisville. I ended up over there. But with that, please don't forget what I said. I'm the chairman of the Safety Management Council Recruiting, Retention, and Wellness Committee, and if you're interested in helping in that, please shoot me a message. I'll get you some information, and love to have you be a part of the council. Thank you very much.